Hi, this is Geordi for Scripting Studio, and this is the Blender Introduction tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be explaining the Blender UI, as well as some of the basic shortcuts you'll need to make any Blender project. When you first open Blender, you'll see the splash screen. In it, you have your recent files that you have been working on, as well as some links that will be helpful in discovering more about Blender. If you click anywhere outside the splash screen, you can get to your main 3D or to your main Blender window. The main Blender window consists of your 3D viewport, your outliner, your properties panel, and your timeline. You can change what window you're looking at by simply clicking the icon in the bottom left-hand corner and then clicking what window you want to see next. You can also rearrange your windows by dragging along the lines, as well as right-clicking and splitting windows, or right-clicking and joining windows. There is several windows that you can use in Blender to make anything that you want to. You have the timeline and the graph editor, which control animation. The UV image editor lets you color your models, and the text editor and logic editor let you write code. The node editor composites and color grades your renders. User preferences allows you to change shortcuts. Like if you want the Maya shortcuts, all you have to do is click that button. Or you can enable add-ons and change color schemes. In the Blender 3D viewport, you have panels. T to change the tool panel, and N to change the properties panel. To select objects, you right mouse click. You do not left mouse click. If you left mouse click, you'll be moving the 3D cursor, which is handy for other things. Left mouse click to select objects. Next is navigation. You can zoom by scrolling or control middle mouse button. You can pan by middle mouse button shift or shift middle mouse button, and then you can rotate just by middle mouse button. If you want to see a front view, all you have to do is hit number pad 1. Right now I'm in perspective view, so it's going to look weird. If I switch to graphic view, it's going to look way normal. Excuse me. If you want to see a side view, you hit number pad 3, and a top view, number pad 7. If you want to see through your camera, you hit number pad 0. Okay. Now, to move objects, you can do it one of two ways. You can use the widgets, which are very handy, but it's also kind of a lot of clicking because you've got to switch between these types of widgets and then drag, and so most people don't usually use them. We normally use hotkeys. Blender is a very hotkey rich program. You'll be using hotkeys the entire time. You'll have one hand on the keyboard and one hand on the mouse. To grab, all you have to do is hit G, and then you'll move in your object. Scale is S, and rotate is R. If you want to grab, rotate, or scale along one axis, all you have to do is hit G, and then the axis you want to rotate, scale, or move around. So if I wanted to rotate around along the Z axis, all I'd have to do is hit R and then Z. Ta-da! Now we are going to talk about switching between wireframe and solid view. In solid view, you can see the faces like you would in the render. Well, not like you would. You can see the faces in their basic color scheme. If you hit Z, you can go into wireframe mode, which you can see through things. Object mode and edit mode are the two basic modes in Blender. Object mode, you can do basic things such as move the object, scale, and rotate. In edit mode, you can move, scale, and rotate individual vertices, edges, or faces. To delete an object, you hit X, and then you can delete it. To add an object, you hit Shift A, and it gives you the adding menu. Then you can pick what you want to add. Be sure to select the properties down here before you move. So if I want to make this less segments, but I need to do it now, because if I start moving it, then it's going to change this and I cannot get back. Now we're going to switch to the properties panel. I'm going to go to Suzanne the monkey, which is our Blender mascot, and I'm going to look at the properties panel. Over here you have your render settings, which you use to make the size of the image bigger or smaller, add motion blur, or where you're saving your pictures. You also have the world settings, so you can change your render background. If I hit F12 to render, right now we have a gray background. If I change it to, let's go purple, then it'll turn into a purple background. Really handy. Object allows you to change the name of the file, as well as you can change whether it's in wireframe mode, or I guess we should let you see that. So let it be displayed all the time in wireframe mode or solid mode. And then we can also go to the modifiers. Modifiers help you model your objects. So right now Suzanne is looking very blocky. If I add a subdivision surface modifier, it will make curves along the angles. So if I make this at 2 times, 2 subdivisions, and then hit shading to smooth, Suzanne looks normal. Also, another modifier that you'll use a lot is the mirror modifier. This is used to make symmetry across the pivot point. So I move it over here, is now whatever I do over here will be done across the symmetry line. This is really handy for faces, or things like characters, or everyday objects like your computer monitor are symmetrical. So that's really handy, so you don't have to model both sides. Next is the materials. You can add to the base color, as well as if you want to change things like specular highlights, or if you want to make it translucent, or if you want to make it mirrored, so it's like a reflective. You can do all that in the materials. Then if you want to further change your model and add images to it, you can use textures. Textures need a material, and then you'll add a texture. So let's say I wanted to add this clouds texture. I could add it right on top of the image. So right now it's adding purple, so it's speckled purple. Or I could also let's make this multiply, so we'll add only the dark spots and make it hard. And now I have little dark lines all over my model. It's really neat. You can make this an image or other default Blender textures. Another thing that we need to cover is the particle systems. Particle systems allow you to do many things. The emitter allows you to make things like smoke or fluids, and you can adjust the way these particles flow that are coming out, and then it'll allow you to it'll control the smoke, water, or explosions and all that stuff. If you want to make hair, all you have to do is change this to hair. Remember that hair is not only fur and human hair, but it also could be stuff on the Santa Claus hat or grass. Next, let's go into physics. Physics is really important for games. You'll be doing a lot of your gaming, or if you're going to make computer games, you can make them in this physics pane. Or you can add things like fluid or smoke, and or cloth, and a lot of that stuff. So it's really important too. And then one last thing, I want to tell you how to save your different files. Let's say you really like a way that you have Blender set up. Like you really want the default, when you open Blender, you want it to look like this, and you don't want it to be perspective, you want it to be orthographic, and you want a couple add-ons already selected. Then all you have to do, instead of making all those changes every single time you start Blender, you can hit Control U and save the user settings. Really important thing to do. Okay, really important thing to do because it's really a pain to have to change around your 3D viewport every time. And then if you want to save, you can hit File, Save. It'll ask you what directory to go in, or if you hit Control S, you can do it that way too. Really happy that you guys stopped by this tutorial. Hope you guys stick around with Blender. It's a really great tool, even though it may be hard to learn, but you can do a whole lot with it. Also, I want you to check out Scripting Studios. It's a really handy place to go. You can will answer questions and give tutorials about several 3D graphics programs, and as well as some coding and other stuff like that. Hope to see you guys around the net. Thanks for watching.